As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
This episode is sponsored by State Farm. Choices are great. Like with your podcasts, you get to choose what you want to listen to. And State Farm believes insurance should work the same way. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you get the coverage you want at an affordable price and a policy that helps cover what you value most. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com today to create your State Farm Personal Price Plan. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
The Purple Mafia with your host, Paladino Joey.
Well, we'll see. The doctors would disagree, but what do they know?
So let's just say that you'll pay me because it's in your interest to pay me.
Is it worth it? I mean, you've won. Do you want to wipe everybody out?
I don't feel I have to wipe everybody out, Tom. Just my enemies. That's all. My father taught me many things. He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
These are wonderful things that we've achieved, and there's no limit to where we can go from here.
Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia, episode number 74. It is Sunday, October the 31st, 2010. Of course, happy Halloween, everybody out there that celebrate it. I don't mind the festive side of it. I don't mind the decorations. The costumes, to me, are extremely overrated. The drinking is just another excuse to drink, and all of that's overrated. Now that I've got that out of the way, speaking of overrated, the Vikings offense scored 18 points today. The New England Patriots scored 28. So, yeah, that was pretty close to my original prediction when I said 27-17. That's awfully close. Changed it to 27-21 in favor of the 2001, 2003, and 2004 world champion New England Patriots, who are now 6-1. Our Minnesota Vikings are now 2-5. Of course, we're going to review the game. No kidding. There were no phone calls today. Yet again, the second show in a row without any phone calls. We went from 2 calls on one show to no calls on 2 shows. So that's a bummer. Not complaining, though, to the callers out there. You guys are awesome. You listeners out there. Just hope that you will please call in soon. First and foremost, before I get really started with things, Purple Mafia is available on thesportstuff.com and on iTunes. Appreciate you all very much again for downloading and listening to this show, which is, of course, episode number 74. Yeah, this was this team. Right now, watching this team is like being at work. A lot of you out there say, it might tell me, might want to tell yourself you love your job. Okay, you love your job, but still, work is work, right? This is like work. Man, it was like work watching this team. And, of course, covering them, I got to watch the game. I can't just turn on Tales of Destiny for the PlayStation or go somewhere else. No, I'm not the type that wants to go somewhere else anyway. I'd rather watch the game. That's why I'm behind the mic. I would rather watch the game because it's not even about being a fan. I enjoy being not professional yet, but, a kind of being professional about it, watching it, enjoying it, covering it, and being as objective as I possibly can. And I'm going to try to be as objective as I possibly can without offending Viking fans that think we're all fair weather fans out here, the people that would dare to say that the offensive line's not doing well, that would dare to say that Brett Favre is struggling, that would dare to say Randy Moss isn't catching the ball, that would dare to say Randy Moss isn't getting open. I mean, what else? That would dare to say that Madieu Williams has returned to his 2009 form of football. Oh, my God, did that ton of bricks land on the floor today? Madieu Williams. Madieu frickin' Williams. Okay, yeah, it's Halloween. That's about it, though. I don't care if it's Halloween. I don't care if it's Christmas. I don't care if it's Thanksgiving. I'm here. I'm doing the show, and I'm not pleased with the outcome. I'm not pleased with the. I'm not pleased with the product. I don't understand the product. I don't understand it. We'll get further into that later. Though, then again, at the same time, why am I mad? Why am I mad? I predicted them to lose. So, yeah, I guess I'm not mad. But at the same time, I'm mad for you guys out there. I am. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts being 5 yards away from the Super Bowl to having 5 losses in 7 games. 6 months later? I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it. And now we're 5 minutes into the show, or about that, a little more than that. So, yeah, there's your number 5. I guess that's the theme today. Which, I don't know. I'm suffering, man. I'm suffering for you out there. I'm suffering on my own as well. I want to win too, folks. I want to win. So let's just get to the gist here. Or continue on the gist. I basically am there already. First and foremost, one other thing. Again, the call-in line is, bummer, nobody called. Life goes on. It's just fun. It adds to the show. The Twitter's back full circle today. I kind of maybe overdid it a little bit, but I did it. I did what I did. So it's mostly one of those deals. The call-in line is 209-736-787-877, 209-736-7877. It is a voicemail. Do treat it as such. Mention you're calling it Purple Mafia and state your opinion, question, comment, shout out, all the above. Good stuff. Opine. The usual. Well, I like to take a lot of my notes on Twitter, so then I interact with you listeners out there, or as many of you as I can. Also try to, kind of get the Purple Mafia name out there so more people come and listen to the show. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that, is there? I don't try to overdo it either. Just interact with people, and then they're like, oh, it says Purple Mafia. It says it's a podcast or an internet radio show or whatever. And, okay, maybe I'll give it a listen whenever I feel like it. Which is, again, that's your freedom. You can listen to it whenever you feel like it. It's not like, oh, I missed the show this week. No, you didn't. You have 7 days to listen to it before it's quote-unquote a rerun or whatever you want to call it. Hey, and there's always more interesting stuff in the past maybe you want to check out that you haven't heard, like my rant on Bernard Berrien that me and one of my friends and listeners talked about earlier today. They didn't get to hear that yet because they're new to the show. Twitter.com/Purple Mafia Show, Twitter.com/Purple Mafia Show. So let's get to that guest immediately. All right, screw around too much longer and bore you out there. Yeah, what a game. It looked kind of encouraging. It's like, hey, this team actually looks kind of good so far. Favre was very sharp today, and yes, he was. He was very sharp. And yes, of course, we're going to get to what happened to him, unfortunately, and try to keep as updated as we can here on the fly, because who knows what news is going to come out, though. I think you guys have a pretty good idea what's going to happen with Brett Favre. I think you have a pretty good idea. I think he's going to play next week against the Arizona Cardinals. I just do. I don't think it's too much of a surprise to you guys out there. He played with broken bones in his foot and ankle. I think he'll be back playing. I just do. But yeah, as mentioned, early on, the game looked pretty solid, really. It was an okay start. I like the approach. Mostly give it to Adrian Peterson. Very encouraging. The defense looked good. They stopped the Patriots on their first attempts. Unfortunately, the Vikings really couldn't get any offense going in the first quarter either. Well, then again, they could in their final drive of the first quarter. They just happened to officially score in the second quarter, where clearly the MVP of the team in the first half, Adrian Peterson, absolutely looked the part and was able to complete that drive with a touchdown. AP officially for the record at 25 rushes, 92 yards. and that 1 yard up the middle touchdown, or to the left, excuse me. He looked pretty good early on. Unfortunately, the offensive line didn't really help us much later on in the game, unfortunately. So we'll just kind of go with that. Unfortunately, one stat, too, like Joey's Neato stat of the night, like Ernie's Neato stat of the night on TNT. I love that. I love that station. Best NBA coverage in the world. Anyhow, I accidentally posted this on my Wolves Explosion tweet because I forgot that I was still signed into that. Peterson officially was stopped for the first time on third down this year. So he had been that good on third down, though. Unfortunately, this was only his 8th attempt on third down all year. Again, another thing that miffs a lot of your listeners out there, a lot of your fans out there. So now he's officially 7 and 8 on 3rd and 1. He was stopped. And then, yeah, right as the Vikings defense did great, immediately on the first play to Percy Harvin, he made a nice catch and took off a little bit, and there went his ankle. Oh, boy. His ankle turned. He could barely put any pressure on the foot, on the ankle, and it's like, oh no, please, God, no, please. He's been the most valuable player of this team the last couple of weeks here, 2 or 3 weeks. I believe 3 now, because you can include today, and yes, I am including him today. Right now, he's the offensive MVP of the Vikings. Yep, so when we get to postseason awards for the Minnesota Vikings, yeah, much later on, the State of the Vikings address, much later on into 2011 here, looked really good. And it's like a thought of, boy, minus Percy Harvin, we had 2 guys, Harvin and Peterson, who are just dominating all year. Everybody else, you could say, has struggled. And I do mean everybody. And yes, Randy Moss, absolutely at the top of that list. Absolutely at the top of the list. The thought of losing Harvin was really frustrating, but then they just went straight to Peterson, and that's what led to that touchdown at the end of at the beginning of the second quarter, Very, very cool. During that, of course, Brett Favre was hit in the head, roughing the passer. Yeah, that wasn't the first time he was hit in the head today, unfortunately. Challenge, when Adrian Peterson got in, Bill Belichick challenged the touchdown, and it's like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? You just threw away a red flag. I mean, he was 99% chance Adrian Peterson was in, and even if he wasn't, we would be at like the 1 millimeter line. I mean, I was second down. Okay, yeah, maybe we'll get back to that. I mean, yeah, not maybe. We'll get to that later, too, about what happened at the goal line. That's not the first time that's happened this year either. But still, I don't know. He was most likely in, and of course he was, according to the refs. So it's like you threw away the red flag. Why did you do that? Very strange. I was, again, very pleased with the play calling early on. Run. Just go get him. The Patriots defense was not really stopping Adrian Peterson at all until later. Yeah, until later. And then Madieu Williams had an interception in his basket, in the Hank basket, and he didn't catch it. Then next thing you know, Brandon Tate does. And that was like a 50, 40-yard reception in the end. Typical Vikings dumb luck there. Very frustrating. But then the best part is Brad Childress challenged it. He thought Tate didn't have possession of the ball. Well, again, another 99% chance they're going to, let's say the play stands. And it did. Great. You just threw away a red flag. Great. Thanks. So a waste of red flag by both coaches. And Vikings. We're going to get to your mentions right now, at least some of them. I'm going to try to kind of go with the flow here with the try to keep it where we're at if I can. Unfortunately, it can be tough at times with the way it's loads. This is not the fastest deal here. Unfortunately, I'm not quite a millionaire yet, guys, or multi-millionaire. That would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it? So now there we go. All right, MN Vikings guy basically said, yeah, he said the exact same thing I did. He said typical Vikings dumb luck there. Emer commented earlier in the week. He said, I think we should give the Sacramento Mountain Lions a call to get Dante back. I love that one. He was all nice enough to post episode 72 on there. I believe he did 73 as well. Appreciate that a lot. But here we go. In all seriousness, he was with Chili on this one in terms of Brett Favre. Getting mad at Brett Favre, that is. Chili really not calling Brett Favre out last week. So in all seriousness, I'm with Chili on this one. He needs to show people that he's the boss, not Favre, or he'll lose all respect. I'm ready to roll with TJ But don't tell him he's starting till an hour before the game, so he has no chance to overthink things. So, yeah, that's the other thing with Tavares. Sometimes he overthought things in the past. So there you go. A new follower to this. I'm not sure if he listens to the show yet. Maybe he is, because he ran into it. D2 Dow said, hell yeah, to something I wrote on there. Chiefs Zone, that of course being Farzine Vasugian, the host of the Chiefs Zone on the sportstuff.com and iTunes. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs having a much funner time over in KC than we are right now with their 5-3 record. Congratulations, Farzine, if you're listening. He responded to me kind of poking Bill Belichick a little bit, saying Belichick is still good. The team looks like it'll dominate in a few years, but he makes crucial errors as a coach at times. And yeah, he does. And again, that proves that he's human, and I agree that Bill Belichick is still good. I think, with things going the way they are, I think the New England Patriots are primed to make a run, believe it or not. I actually think they do have a legitimate chance to make a run, though today they didn't look all that great. They really didn't. Brent for Liberty, that of course Brent Jacobson with a couple of tweets here. We'll get to them right now. He says that he likes the old school Patriots uniforms better than the new ones, and he wants my opinion. I'm kind of neutral, I guess. The old school ones are really cool in terms of, I've always liked old school things. I always do. It's just, to me, the Patriots, now, they changed their uniform twice since then. They changed them to those other blue ones they had during the mid-'90s, and I hated those. Just hated them when Drew Bledsoe was the quarterback. But then, later on, right about the time that Tom Brady took over, now I like those because that was when they won their 3 Super Bowls, and there's a different aura in that organization when they wore those uniforms. They went from one of the weakest organizations in the NFL that never won anything, just patsies. The same red uniforms that got whooped by the 85 Bears. Congratulations again to Dylan Richardson on that one. Who's, of course, a Bears fan. The success level. It's like the success level. It's when you had no success in one and you had tons in another. That's kind of where I am at in that. And being the Patriots are my second favorite team, I kind of have a little bit more interest in those, in commenting on what Brent said there, too. So there you go. He says at SaveTheVikings.org, we are going against the wind, aren't we? I suspect the freak will get the ball more in the second half. And unfortunately, he didn't. Brent for Liberty says the worst old school uniforms are the Broncos brown and mustard gold unis. Yeah, I agree with that. He says that the Vikings stuffed us on 4th and goal. Safety time, go defense. So yeah, we'll get to that very shortly. I got a little ahead of myself there, so apologize for that. So here we go. There, I got things a little more set up better. Apologize for that, guys. It was frustrating because how the Patriots, right away did score. Basically, immediately did score after that Madieu Williams deal. Apologize, I had to kind of get the mentions going there. It was definitely a bummer indeed, as the Patriots tied the game almost immediately. So, of course, I got distracted on the chili challenging thing, and then we started talking about Bill Belichick. But, yeah, that was kind of weird. We tied it immediately. It was kind of crazy. Also, I'd note that Bill Belichick used his last time out of the half with about 11 minutes to go. I thought that was kind of strange as well. Moorhead, there we go. Moorhead of the Patriots, or Moodhead, not even Moorhead. Yeah, you'd think Moorhead would sound a little bit more familiar to those of you out there. Moodhead was the guy that tied the game up. I was like, what the heck? And this also was only the second New England rushing touchdown of the year. So Skull Vikings and their superb rush defense there. That just does not make them look very good. The good news is Percy Harvin is back. Looked like he was going to be out 6 to 8 weeks the way he came off the field. And he's playing, and immediately, right after we saw him on the field again, receiving the kickoff from that stupid touchdown by Moodhead. Oh, what? Yeah, Moodhead, folks.
What?
Yeah, that's about it.
Oh, come on, man.
But again, immediately when Harvin back in the offense, they threw to him on the first play, and he caught it and took off for 21 yards. beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Jens BB said, WTF, why did the Vikings get Moss if they aren't going to bleep and throw to him? And I totally agree there. How can you not? Just unbelievable. Favre was sacked, and of course this was on the same drive. Favre was sacked, plays just not being there. The Vikings had to punt right away, unfortunately. Very frustrating there. The Vikings then immediately got a stop right away, a 3-and-out for New England. The Vikings defense looked, see, that's the thing. Vikings defense looked awfully good in the first half, didn't they? So it's like, what the heck happened in the second half, and especially the fourth quarter? Very, very frustrating. Field position certainly not an enemy for the Vikings in the game. That is for sure. That excuse is out the window. Harvin, again, made another big catch. Gotta love that. And then I just had to say this. I got so sick and tired of the stagnant offense. I just couldn't take it anymore. And, well, that's pretty much where we stood there, unfortunately. Oh, boy. We did continue to try to push things forward. Judd Zulgad, I had to put this up there. One of his followers asked, is all the attention on Moss only means Harvin to have a big game, right? And he said, yes. So, yeah, definitely. I had to mention that. The Vikings did get to the goal line, as mentioned. This was it. They get to the goal line down to about a yard or less than a yard. They called it 4th and inches. Maybe it was a little bit more than that. I guess 6 inches to a foot, something like that. And it looked like Childress was like, yep, we're going to kick it. We're okay. Let's just take the 10-7 lead. And I figured, I just can't stomach being stopped at the goal line and getting 0. I just can't stomach that thought, folks. But no, the Vikings did go for it. And what happened? They got knocked backwards. Yeah. The best part was I couldn't believe how many people out there, and again, it's okay to have your opinion. This is a game. This is not life and death. This is not airplanes getting shot down because of a bad decision by, the general, in the Army or the Air Force, whatever. It's not. Nobody's dying here. But, dude, when your offense is failing to score over and over and over again, and this has already happened in a game that we lost by 4 points, you got stymied at the goal line when you're virtually guaranteed 3 points. Virtually guaranteed. I mean, you're what? It's closer than an extra point, pretty much. So as long as you don't bobble the snap, it's going to go in. It's a lot less likely that you're going to get through the Patriots than you're going to bobble the snap. So take the 10-7 lead here. No, total fail. Total fail, as we like to call it. I don't want to say epic fail because I'm sick of that. Garbage. Total fail. And yeah, that's where I caught up to Brent Jacobs in there. Well, they stuffed us on 4th and goal. Safety time, go defense. That's about as friendly as I've seen Brent Jacobson after a play like that. I would have thought he was a little more upset after something like that. That's cool. Glad you weren't too upset there, Brent. I was just off the charts. And why would you even ponder going for it in that situation? Why would you even ponder going for it? Because at that point, the Patriots were starting to solve Adrian Peterson. They were starting to solve the Vikings running game. Literally at that point, they failed to get short yardage multiple times already in this game. Why would you even ponder it? You threw away 3 points you could have gotten almost for sure. A chance to have a lead. I like the go for it thing, but at the same time, yeah, it's fun. But this team has trouble scoring points. You got to get the points. We've seen them screw up this opportunity multiple times. And again, who do you think? Who was the main culprit on this? On the run protection, rush protection, run blocking. There we go, run blocking. Who was the main culprit? Well, who do you think? Phil Lodeholt, who has just really taken a dump this year out there on that field. Second year in the league, very solid as a rookie. He stinks right now. Just stinks. He got convincingly beaten on that goal line. This man beat him and got to AP immediately behind the line of scrimmage. And it's like, great. Okay, yeah, the Patriots are only at the 2-yard line. Horrible field position for New England. But it's also horrible when you don't score any points, when you're pretty much guaranteed points. You know? You hope you're not even getting that 4th and inches situation at the goal line anyway. You hope you get in the all dang end zone. But they didn't, so take the 3 points. Take the 3 points. Why would you even risk it? Why? So now we'll get to a mention for this play. Particularly D2 Dow again, a new follower as of today, says the play action would have worked. Maybe because you get everybody kind of getting in the box there to stop the runner. Oh, but then maybe somebody leaves their man. Most likely they do, and you try to flip it on in there. I think that could have been the better play. Sure, yes, I think so because they were all expecting a run in that play. Play action probably is the best way to go, and so not a bad thought there. No, it's not. Obviously, you don't just simply do a rollout, play action, and then maybe a rollout, or hope you can have that split second to get the ball up there to try to do an alley-oop to Randy Moss, if humanly possible anymore. Bernard Berrien, just throwing to him is one of those deals. Yeah, there was another little bit of ranting on there about Bernard Berrien. It was very tough. Very tough to stomach yet again. So there you go, 7-7. You gotta love it. You just gotta love it. I just could not believe it. PMAC of, so I got to mention this, PMAC of 1,500, I kind of, I'll just leave that opinion where it is right now. I agreed with him what he said here, where he said, yeah, Brad Childress isn't Belichick, but he is serviceable, better than people think. And yeah, I said, yeah, at least Chili's better than Denny, and that's my stance. Chili is better than Dennis Green, yes. But the frustration level's getting high, and I'm going to continue in that as we get near the end. Vikings did have a nice solid drive again. Adrian was taken out on 3rd down. 3rd and 2, so here we are back in that same situation again. Not quite on the goal line, as the Vikings failed to get the first down on 3rd and 2. It was 4th and 1. Vikings failed there. But for some reason, the Vikings decided to throw the ball on that play. They tried to throw the ball into the end zone to Randy Moss. Or was it Bernard Berrien? I don't even care who it was. It was one of those two, which is like gambling at this point. It's like rolling a dice, hoping that it's 6, basically. It's like a 1 in 6 chance they're going to catch the ball the way things are going right now. Be it the defense is too good. It's just too good. Or they just can't catch the ball, or Favre can't complete it. It's one of 3 things, and it's getting really stupid. It is. Henry Lake commented about, hey, what are you going to, to one of the, as KFAN people like to call them, rubes. His comment to him was, well, what, are you going to blame Childress for the incompletion? Come on, people. And no, it's like, no, I'm not blaming Childress for the incompletion. I'm questioning the decision there to throw the ball. You took Adrian Peterson out. Yeah, he's 7 of 8 for the entire year on short yardage situations or 3rd down. So do it. And no, yes, I understand he might have been stonewalled again for the 2nd time of the day, or 3rd time of the day, But maybe. I think you have a better chance there than just kind of throwing it a very inaccurate pass, just a messed up, broken-looking play in the end zone. It looked kind of stupid. But the good part was, this is the part where I don't agree with, don't disagree with Brad Childress. We kicked the field goal. We kicked the field goal this time. Yeah, we didn't go for it on 4th down again because we were in the red zone. Yeah, we weren't at the goal line, but it was only like a 4th and 1. But we kicked the field goal, so the Vikings took the lead. It felt nice for 30 seconds because the very first play of the next Patriots drive was thrown to Brandon Tate, and he burned Madieu Williams so harshly. Madieu Williams, Brandon Tate owes Madieu Williams about $6 million for today's game. Because Madieu Williams couldn't have screwed himself worse. He couldn't have helped Brandon Tate more in this game. He really couldn't have. He had an interception in the breadbasket that landed in Brandon Tate's hands for, a 40-yard gain. And then next thing you know, Madieu Williams just does a Waswasser Wanga, just gets eaten up alive in the open field by Brandon Tate as he heads towards the middle. He literally did a Percy Harvin. Brandon Tate's not Percy Harvin, but he sure looked like it on this play. He blew up for 65 yards. The Vikings' lead of about 30 seconds was gone, and they would never lead in this game again. Never again. Tom Pelissaro commented, not to me, but in general, and it's just, he thought it was worth pointing out that Favre was 16 of 20 passing. Not bad at all for about 200 yards and no turnovers. Favre actually looked pretty good today. He really did. Henry Lake says, terrible angle by Madieu Williams. Are you kidding me? Terrible. It's been bad. It's been really bad. Madieu Williams just got us destroyed today. Madieu Williams. I'll say it now. Madieu Williams better not be on this team next year. It's time to go, Madieu. It's time to go. Yeah, you started out okay this year, but you never were great. The safety play improved this year mostly because of Hussein Abdullah. Madieu Williams he will never get an interception as long as he lives. And I hate it. It's frustrating. It's not all about the interceptions, but yeah, giving up a 65-yard touchdown in the embarrassing way that he did for how much he makes is a complete joke. He is the Bernard Berrien of the defense, is Madieu Williams. Just lousy. He needs to go, and I hope he does. There was a deep pass thrown to Percy Harvin immediately on the next drive. Almost. He just was not open enough to bring it home, but it's like, again, Harvin's ankle must be doing good, huh? It must be. Frank Walker's name did come up again today. Really good on special teams. I'm really impressed with Frank Walker. Absolutely impressed with Frank Walker. That was when the Vikings unfortunately had to punt later on in the following drive. Very, very frustrating indeed. Very, very frustrating indeed. There are lots of Viking fans still bitching about Phil Oldholt, and I don't blame them at all. Not at all. Totally on board with those guys. Unfortunately, later on, not much later on, there was a play where Percy Harvin had the ball literally in the basket again. Another breadbasket play, and it became an interception for McCourty. Totally not Brett Favre's fault here. It wasn't the greatest, most accurate throw in history, but it surely wasn't the worst throw in history either. McCourty wasn't anywhere near the ball. Percy Harvin kind of tipped it in the air, and it happened to go to McCourty. Evan McCourty, excellent cornerback for the New England Patriots, the rookie, of course, all over the Minnesota Vikings draft board until he was taken. Still pleased with Chris Cook, even though he was taken obviously after McCourty. Both of them are going to have good careers. Very frustrating indeed. McCourty was able to return the ball all the way up to, the 20-yard line, which immediately became a touchdown play for the New England Patriots. It was thrown to Ellis, and that was basically like game, set, match at that point, and you kind of knew it would be. You kind of did. Jared Allen on this drive missed multiple opportunities to get to Tom Brady. And here's my comment on Jared Allen, folks. Here's my comment on Jared Allen. I'm tired of Jared Allen's underachieving ass. I really am. It's like Jared this, Jared that, Jared almost this, almost that, and he almost sucks this year. He almost does, but almost, right? He almost sucks this year. Jared Allen has been a huge frustration this year, folks. Very huge frustration. I just cannot believe how invisible he's gotten this year. I already ranted on last show. We'll just kind of leave it there. It is what it is. It just is what it is. So now we'll get to Dan Taylor, because it was at this point when things were starting to get ugly. Dan Taylor from England, of course. Yep, I missed you, Matt Emer, today. Hopefully, I'm sure you're listening, though. I appreciate it very much. Maybe you were a little bummed out that I was on Twitter last week. Dan Taylor's comment is, it's sad to see the Vikings losing. Isn't getting any emotion out of me. Looking forward to that high draft pick. And yeah, you have a point there, Dan. You have a point. Because at 2-5, it's, I don't know. I really don't feel very good about the rest of the year. It's happened before. I asked the Vikings to prove me wrong, and they didn't. They did not prove me wrong today. They scored 18 points against a bad defense. They scored 18 points against a bad defense, and the defense looked awful down the stretch, and awful when Madieu Williams just got roasted and toasted. Totally destroyed. There we go. There's one of my new words, I guess, one of my new lines by Brandon Tate. Just eaten alive. The Chiefs zone, again, Farzine. With 3 mentions here. Otherwise, we got a little convo about Jared Allen right here, so I figured when I'm talking about Allen, let's continue that conversation. Because oddly enough, Jared Allen led the NFL in sacks and was going to face Brady in Week 1 in 2008, but was traded to Minnesota. Interesting. So he didn't get to see Tom Brady until today. About 3-year wait there. Yeah, man, that's just amazing. About a 3-year wait or whatever. He also says he was hoping to see Allen pressure Brady because Brady under pressure was the reason he lost the Super Bowl versus the New York Giants. Very true, Farzine. Very true indeed right there. The Vikings didn't get to Tom Brady at all. They really didn't. They didn't get 2 sacks the previous 2 weeks. We'll get to that in a second when we kind of get to the final little breakdown before we get to the Facebook group. Farzine says, use him at the tight end. He caught 2 touchdown passes while he was a Chief, and I remember he caught one against the Minnesota Vikings. I still remember that very well back in good old 07. Vikings and Chiefs. That game, of course, brought Farzine to me, which, of course, brought me to thesportstuff.com a few months later. That was back when I was just doing videos on YouTube for the Vikings for fun. I just figured out what the hell. Why not have to do something fun, see if anybody cares or wants to interact with me about it on there. Maybe, God forbid, maybe it gets popular. Farzine took me to thesportstuff.com, and here I am on Purple Mafia later on. Started out as Paladino Live, which wasn't as successful because it didn't have one show, or it didn't have one team. It didn't have the Vikings, as part of it, as like the main cog of its show. And so it's like, hey, let's just make a Minnesota Vikings show called Purple Mafia. So yeah, that's Farzine's significance to this show and to myself. So very cool there. Favre is God. Her name is Bobby. She says that She says that Brett Favre will play with a wired up jaw. That was when Favre hurt his chin. We'll get to that later, much later. I kind of got ahead of myself there. That's what happens though when you get all these mentions. It was very tough. Okay, this was right about when Brett Favre hurt his jaw. So here we go. Getting close to it anyway. Before Brett Favre, after the Vikings made a nice drive again, they were in the process of making a nice drive. Favre hit Percy Harvin down the middle for a reception. It's like, here we go again. Do I need to make my point any clearer? At Percy Harvin? Down the middle, you can throw the ball to him down the middle, deep that is. Good things happen, and it happened. It did happen. Very, very cool indeed. Right there. My comment, again, to Farzine, though, about Jared Allen being a tight end and stuff would be, that would mean being creative. Though. That's against the, that's not staying in the confines of the system. We need to stay in the confines of the system. That does not involve putting Jared Allen at the tight end or anything kind of crazy and creative like that. We don't operate that way with the kick-ass offense. All right, bye. So there's your coach right there. Thanks for that. Thanks for the comment there, Mr. Childress. I appreciate it. So yes, Brett Favre playing on a hurt ankle. Very, very solid. The turnover he had today was not his fault. It was in the breadbasket for old Percy Harvin, who is human and a wonderful player, who was also playing with a hurt ankle. He officially had 6 catches for 104 yards on the day, including that 30-yard up-the-middle catch from Mr. Favre. So Brett Favre's final stats of the day, as I get to what I'm about to get to, he completed 22 of 32 attempts, about 70%, 260 yards. Unfortunately, though, only 1 interception and no touchdowns, destroying his quarterback rating to only 80. So Brett Favre looked awfully good in this game for a guy with a broken ankle. He looked awfully mobile for a 41-year-old with a broken ankle as well, with broken bones in his ankle. There we go. Not necessarily like really broken, but stress fracture broken. Very painful, of course. Brett Favre. Yep, this would be his last play of the game, maybe his last play for a little while. They got to Favre. He was hit very hard, unfortunately, by the New England Patriots. I like to use the talk like that. I'm sorry. It was Banta Kane, I believe. I believe it was Banta Kane who hit Favre. And unfortunately, his helmet went right into Brett Favre's chin. Next thing you know, Brett Favre was on the ground, looking very dazed, looking knocked out, maybe even had a concussion from it, maybe. They didn't really bring up the word concussion. The final analysis at this point in time was a laceration, not a broken jaw. I mean, I thought it was broken jaw. That's why Favre has got that Bobby girl from Wisconsin made the comment saying that he would play with a wired-up jaw. Well, obviously he didn't finish today's game, but a lot of people assuming he will be back next year. Or next week, against Arizona in the Dome. Thank God, not a road game. I do think, it's sad to see. Troy Aikman was commenting how that happened to him before, too, of course. Lacerations on the chin because of getting hit by a helmet. That just is not fun. Did not look good. Very painful indeed for Brett Favre, I'm sure. So then Tavares Jackson comes in on the goal line. His very first pass. Immediately a touchdown to his favorite guy. Remember who I always talked about? Well, all Tavares Jackson does, this was on last week's show, episode number 73, all he ever does is throw to Defahu Tahi or Jimmy Kleinsasser because they're the closest guy to him and they're always open enough to catch the ball. Yeah, he threw the ball to Defahu Tahi for a touchdown. I mean, I thought that was absolutely hilarious. It's like, okay. So then the Vikings, again, here we go. The Vikings are smart, folks. They learned from last week. You're down by 4 points. So the microwave, as I like to call him, Tavares Jackson. Now that, I was asked about that as well today. What's the microwave? Why are you calling him that? Well, it's like being hot off the bench. Tavares Jackson is the microwave. He's hot off the bench like Vinnie Johnson of the Detroit Pistons was in the 1980s and early 90s. The microwave T-Jet, because I always thought about that kind of, Tavares Jackson seems to be at his best when he comes off the bench in the middle of a game. He's the microwave. So I gave him that nickname. I know it's copying something from 20 years ago. Hey, but I'm the one that called him that, so wink, wink, ha ha. He's the microwave. Nothing wrong with that. And yes, he does seem to play his best when he comes in the middle of a game, like he did for Gus Frerotte when Frerotte hurt his back a few years ago in 2008. He dismantled a very talented defense with Detroit and an even more talented defense in Arizona the next week. But we'll leave that where it is, and quite ironic how that took place. That's kind of weird. But yeah, his next pass is a 2-point conversion again. As mentioned, as I said, why would you just kick an extra point when you're down by 4 or 5 points? Why not go for 2 and attempt to get within 3 so it's a one-possession game, or one field goal game, You don't have to score a touchdown to tie the game up if it's, say, late in the fourth quarter, which it was kind of getting to be sooner or later here. It could have been. It could have been, we'll say. But he did get the 2-point conversion. This was to Percy Harvin, a interesting choice that it was kind of like an alley-oop to Percy Harvin. You don't really think of Percy Harvin as an alley-oop type of receiver, but it worked in this case. We'll take it. Tavares Jackson 2 for 2 with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. You got to think he's about the highest quarterback rating in history, at least for those 2 passes. Yeah, about a 160 quarterback rating there. But then the Vikings defense. This is what it was all about. Make the big stop. You're only down by 3. It's the fourth quarter. Everybody on your feet, baby. Yeah, okay, whatever. The fourth quarter. Make the big stop. You're within 3. Get the big stop. Let's tie this or maybe even win it with Tavares Jackson in football immortality, New England. Yeah, it's kind of a cute thought. Cute. But anyhow, it was a nice thought. It was a nice dream. The Vikings defense didn't resemble the Pittsburgh Steelers. They didn't resemble that excellent defense we saw most of the season. When the Vikings needed big stops, they got them. Not always when it matters, though. Funny how that works. The Vikings defense resembled the Arizona Cardinals when they simply needed to make a stop to win the World Championship in 2008. The Arizona Cardinals defense totally blew it and let the Cardinals down. They let Kurt Warner down in that great offense. Not that the Vikings offense is great, but just saying, this was the defense. This was the team's calling card this year, was making the big stops. The defense, the purple defense. It's just very, very frustrating indeed. Very frustrating indeed there. Because the Vikings thought maybe we had a stop, but then Asher Allen beaten on that third down play, and I mean beaten badly. Just not a good player is Asher Allen right now. He just isn't. First down after first down. The Matador, Madieu Williams, that's his nickname, so there's another nickname for you. You got the microwave for Tavares. You got the Matador for Madieu Williams. Toro, Mr. Brandon Tate. Toro. Great. But that's the best part. That's the best part. Because you know what I hate more than anything is the defense played well all day, played well all year. But when you need the stop, and you need the stop right now to potentially save a season, that's really getting scary here. We could be 3-4, not a good record, but still potentially within striking distance in a very disappointing NFC this season. Very disappointing NFC. But no, they didn't make a stop. They didn't make a stop at all. They got eaten up. They look like the Arizona Cardinals. Total BS. Dan chimes in about the very porous timeouts, very bad clock management by Brad Childress during the sustained Patriots drive. Very sustained Patriots drive. A lot easier than it should have been. Could not stop the run at all. Could not stop the pass. Mostly the run, though. Yeah, like who are these guys, these running backs? Dan Taylor's comment is, please explain the timeouts to me. I am dumbfounded. It is before the 2-minute warning. Yeah, we're burning timeouts before the 2-minute warning. Just strange. So then once they got to the 2-minute warning, it's pretty much DOA for the Vikings. Dan Taylor again says it's nice that it's the defense letting us down this week. The variety is what makes it so fun. Yeah, it's variety. Favre let us down last week. Berrien let us down against Miami. Favre did too. The running game sort of let us down in New York, I guess you could say. It was kind of the running game. Yeah, mostly the running game, I'd say, let us down in New York. Favre had maybe one of his better games of the year. It really is. It's a lot of variety. The offensive lines let us down here and there, several times, actually. So we'll get to the final post here. Dan Taylor, the final post on Twitter says, there's a very strong possibility of coming last in the division. Can you believe that? And it's like, yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. Because execution-wise, this is the worst offense in the division. I just said it, didn't I? Execution-wise, this is the worst offense in the division.
Oh, come on! Seriously.
That's a statement, isn't it? That's a statement. Yeah, this might be kind of going to be too long here. So, again, I know you guys don't mind. I'm just saying I'm kind of running this one long, but it's getting to that point. It's getting weird. So let's hurry up and get to it here. Let's get to the chase here. What more is there to say? Well, yeah, Asher Allen got beat badly in plays down the stretch. Vikings defense could not get it done. And, another big name running back for those New England Patriots. Boy, I'm sure glad that we were able to stop Green Ellis in the end zone. Oh, no, we weren't. 112 yards and 2 touchdowns for the day, 6.6 yards per carry. Yeah, there was a challenge. It looked like his elbow was down. I agree with Childress and the Vikings. I'm glad it was reviewed by the booth. Not happy with the outcome there. Man, I'm seeing something with my eyes right now that I cannot believe. I'll mention that in about 3 seconds. But no, that was weak. Very frustrating. The Vikings' rush defense disappeared big time. The pass defense, well, it's Tom Brady. What do you expect? But still, who's catching the ball? Brandon Tate? Okay. That's great. Brandon Tate looked like Percy Harvin in this game. Ridiculous. Man, defense was terrible down the stretch. So we'll leave it at that. The Vikings failed today, 28-18. There's your final score. I'll mention what I was looking at right now that I just cannot believe. The Oakland Raiders beat the Seattle Sea Chickens 33-3. The Oakland Raiders scored 59 points last week against the Denver Broncos. Something is going on in Oakland. The autumn wind is a Raider. The autumn wind is a Raider, folks. 33-3. I cannot believe it. The silver and black just might be back on track again. And Wade Phillips, boy, oh boy, here's another team that's disappointing. I just got to mention this again real quick. Whooped by Jacksonville 35-17. Wade Phillips' career could be ending in Dallas very, very soon. A lot of people in this town, perfect segue, wink wink, could be hoping the same fate awaits Brad Childress and the kick-ass offense. Yeah. Indeed, indeed, indeed. So with that, we are going to get to the Facebook group, and we are going to preview briefly, as brief as I can, the Arizona Cardinals game right after this. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, episode number 74, which is a reminder for iPod users, thank you always for downloading and listening to this wonderful show, even though we're not playing so wonderfully right now as we speak. Now, Purple Mafia is the Facebook group of Purple Mafia. Simply, if you have a Facebook account, that is, in the search bar, type in Purple Mafia Minnesota Vikings Show. You are guaranteed to find it. There you go. Please do join. And let's conversate, guys. Let's conversate. I don't think I'm going to get to everything here. I just can't, because it's just too long. One part where the show recorded, we don't need to get to that. Tony L. Coleman, of course, being Twineball, responds with, well, apparently that the injury to Brett Favre wasn't as bad as we thought. Nice article there by Peter King. Nice find again by Tony Coleman. Appreciate that always. Continue to do that, Tony. We appreciate it a lot. Very nice read. I should have commented on there, just caught up in all this other garbage. Dan Doro has been very active on the Purple Mafia group of late. It's been a lot of fun. He said sit Favre and play Jackson. I don't want Favre screwing everything up again. He was making throws into States on Sunday, that being the Packer game, that a rookie would do. Send Favre back to Mississippi and get our money back. And regretfully, I said I agree at this point, the way Favre played in that Packer game. After today's game, though, Brett Favre looked a lot better. I know that's probably a lot more of a tease than anything, but Brett Favre looked a lot better. He really did. We kind of got in a conversation there. I'll just say it gets kind of long, so if you want to check it out, do check it out on there. It gets kind of long, so I'll leave it there. This is a little more. This is something that I got to get to right here. I have to get to it. I'm going to try to keep it as brief as I can because I kind of talked a little too much when it got to that point. Janine Jaraco Dietz. I'm really sorry. I'll say Janine. JJD. Janine Dietz. Okay. Her comment is, now she's from Virginia. She's been a Viking fan for a long time. Her comment is, true Blue fans put up with the good as well as the bad. Last year was great, and this year not so good so far, but lots of the season has yet to be played. The Vikings don't need no stinking fair weather fans. I've been a loyal fan since Joe Kapp was quarterback. I know that there are other loyal fans like myself out there, so quit your bitching and start believing in your team. In your team. Man, oh man, oh man. Okay, I'll let Tony and Dan do the talking for now until I get to my point. Tony's comment is, this is just, it's an interesting thing, and Janine, I really hope you continue to post on here. I really hope, if you are a listener, please let me know on there if you could. Mention that you do listen to the show. If you could just do me that favor. And that, just in case maybe you're just a Facebook member and now don't really listen to the show yet. I'm guessing you probably do. Please don't be offended by our response. And please don't be offended by me being critical of this team. I can't help it sometimes. I mean, but we'll get to that later. It's part of my job, really, to be objective. But I'm already getting into my point, and I got to let Tony and Dan have the floor for now. Tony's comment is, "This is an attitude that sometimes annoys me. Just because we're not happy with how the season is going, it doesn't mean we're fair-weather fans. Do you honestly think things are going well? Do you honestly not have ideas of how you think things could go better? We are putting up with the bad. We're still here." Great comment there. "Criticism does not mean we don't love our team. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here at Purple Mafia. We're all fans. It does no good to insult other fans' opinions by dismissing them as fair-weather fans." Before I kind of respond here to everybody here, Dan Doro responds, "It's serious, dude. Favre has lost a step from last year. Anybody can see that. People who criticize their team are not fair-weather fans." Oh, thank you guys so much for that, because, back in 2007, the Vikings were a pretty frustrating team to cover. Yes, they were, but I was having a blast because it was my first year covering the team. It's the old honeymoon period. But I was very critical. I was probably too critical at times. Being in the video, you really kind of want to do some bashing in the very short time you do the video. Very short airtime you get. You get only 3 minutes, whatever. Well, you don't want to make a 10-minute video. No one's going to watch it. If it's just talking about football. That's the thing, though. I look for that, guys. You have to be objective. You have to be willing to criticize the team, because you don't criticize the team if you don't give a damn about them. You criticize the team because you want to win. You want to win the game. You want to win. Especially when this team was 12-4 last year and 5 yards from the Super Bowl, like I said earlier. Now we've got 5 losses, 7 games into the season. The number 5 again, folks. The number 5, and it's 9-15. How creepy is that? I mean, whoa. I'm kind of weird, aren't I? Yeah, or somebody's weird out there. Something weird is going on. I guess it really is Halloween. But no, that's the thing. That's the thing. Do you think I get frustrated if somebody's critical about the team? I get frustrated when, even if I was in disagreement with the other person. Yeah, you disagree. Maybe a little bit of tension comes up on occasion about something. If it really gets far, as long as you're respectful, though, it doesn't get too bad. Generally, I would say the tension level is very low with me. I'm a pretty mellow guy until, the game is being played. Then I get really crazy, but not tension towards other fans unless they're disrespecting me or other people. But that's beside the point that I'm getting to. It's the fans, and yes, Timberwolves fans especially, it's the malaise that I hate. It's the malaise. That is what a fair-weather fan is. Malaise is when you don't care. It's when you don't show up, you don't give a rat's ass, you don't watch the team. You don't have to show up, but if you don't even watch or follow the team, you just don't give a rat's ass. I know everybody has a life out there. I respect that, but I'm just saying, that's a fair-weather fan. That's what a fair-weather fan is the people that don't care enough to watch the team to follow them. Like, did you see Randy Moss yesterday? Did you see that 80-yard touchdown pass? In our minds, but you get the idea. No, I was watching American Idol. Ugh, really? You're watching American Idol? You were out drinking? Well, you have that choice, but I'm just saying you're not really a fan of the team then, because you're just not. That's what a fair-weather fan is. That's what a fair-weather fan is. So again, no, I mean, we're not fair-weather fans. We're just not. We just care about this team so much that we're frustrated. We want to win. It hurts to lose. It hurts. Today hurt. Today was like being at work watching that. It's not because I hate the team. It's not because I don't even hate Brad Childress. I disagree with some of his approach. I cannot flip and believe they're not throwing the ball more to Moss. I absolutely cannot believe Randy Moss isn't being more effective in this team. I don't know who to blame with that, if it's Brad Childress not getting the offense, not the right scheme to get him the ball, or if he's not getting open, or what the hell's, or if it's just Favre is really inaccurate, or God forbid it's all three. And I kind of think it's a combination of all three, unfortunately. Or, and then, the defense is just too damn good. It's a lot of that stuff. The lack of execution, and the only victories this year were against two horrible teams. Detroit isn't really a horrible team, but they never win in the Dome. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. And the Dallas Cowboys got hammered by everybody in their path this season. They got absolutely obliterated. They got killed by the Jacksonville Jaguars today. They suck. So that's kind of my deal there. It's amazing how, that's the kind of team we can beat. Yeah, we can't seem to beat anybody else. Close game or blowout. Today actually was the biggest blowout of the year. We lost by 10, which is kind of funny when you think about that. But there you go. There you go. You could argue the Patriots are the best team of them all. So that's a long response, but that's what you get when you call everybody a fair weather fan when we're just frustrated. True fair weather fans are not even paying attention to the team. They're out doing something else. So there you go. Now we'll finally get closer to the end here. Only two posts to go. Very quick ones. Tony L. Coleman says, wow, Jackson, his first two plays of the season are a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Who would have thought? That's pretty funny because great minds think alike there. And I better get to Sebastian's response down there. I'll get to that in a second. To Janine. Sebastian here, too, said, I would still rather see Webb start at quarterback. I still hate Jackson. Well, either one of Webb or Jackson right now are, Jackson's more polished at this point, which is kind of funny compared, usually you don't think of Jackson as polished, but he's more polished than Webb. We'll see. It's more of a curiosity thing with Webb because he's a very talented individual. Before I get to Anthony Batista, that's being Anthony from LA, I better get to Sebastian up here because this was an awesome post. His comment is, we are loaded with talent, and I honestly don't see why we aren't demolishing the NFL, and this is very unfortunate, but I think we are done for. Sebastian, I can't disagree with the thing you just said. Not at all. I compared the Minnesota Vikings with the Randy Moss, Adrian Peterson, and, of course, Brett Favre trio. I compared them to the Miami Heat. And ladies and gentlemen, that team is demolishing the NBA for the most part. Other than losing their season opener to the Boston Celtics, they're looking pretty good right now, even with their lack of depth. The Vikings actually have depth all over the place, except at receiver at times. But still, no excuse to be getting beaten by everybody in sight. So very well said, Sebastian. And I agree that we are done for. 2-5. Yeah, we're in a bad division, and the whole NFC is down this year, and I mean the whole thing. But this team is not a winning football team. They're not, because they don't win games in tight moments. Good teams win close games. Bad teams don't. Detroit loses every close game they play. St. Louis loses close games. Just goes on and on and on. The Buffalo Bills, they only lost by 3 points to the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, they're 0-7, and they could lose every game by 3 points, but that means they're not winners. Winners win close games. So now we get to the final post. Anthony Batista, Anthony from LA, says, wow, I can't stand this season. Very disappointing. Sebastian Balls responds with, this is very disappointing, like you said. But what hurts most is we are loaded with talent. And again, I can't agree more with Sebastian there and Anthony Batista. Very cool stuff there by both of you. Just not cool what's happening right now. It's a big frustration for all of us, and it's a huge shame. So now that I'm done with all that, we're going to get on to the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to preview the Arizona Cardinals who visit the Metrodome next week. Yes, finally we can talk about a home game again. Or is it the Metrodome, or is it Mall of America Field? Well, let's just hope it's a place where the Vikings can win a freaking football game. They're going against the third worst offense in the NFL. You think about the Arizona Cardinals as this great offense. Well, Kurt Warner's not playing anymore, and it's been quite the transformation over there for those Arizona Cardinals. And their defense, well, it's the fifth worst defense in the NFL. Gotta love that. They give up 141 yards on the ground per game. 368 yards in the air per game. So you can do a lot of anything against the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, establish the run early against these guys. That's what you got to do, plain and simple. Establish the run early, especially depending on the quarterback situation. Though what's hilarious, what team made Tavares Jackson look like a Pro Bowler? The Arizona Cardinals back in 2008. Remember that when he replaced Gus Frerotte? When Gus Frerotte injured his back against the Detroit Lions? That's right. He injured his back against the Detroit Lions. Brett Favre gets an injured chin, laceration, whatever, against the New England Patriots. Tavares Jackson comes in and smokes the Arizona Cardinals. Well, there you go. There you go. Now we can start believing in Tavares again because he smoked the Arizona Cardinals. Oh, my. You got to love that. No, I don't think Tavares Jackson's going to start a quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. I highly doubt it. If Favre broke his jaw, that might make things a little more interesting, though I think he'd even play through that, to be honest with you. But no, if Favre's going to play through a stress fracture in his ankle and a little bit higher in the leg, ankle, whatever, foot area, he's going to play with a laceration in his jaw area, jaw, chin. He's going to play through it. You just know he is because that's just who he is. I don't think he wants to go out in a game like that. There's just no way he's going to go out like that. It's impossible. Arizona Cardinals, though, man. Well, obviously their best player, plain and simple, is it's Tim Hightower. No, it's Larry Fitzgerald. 331 yards, only 2 touchdowns in the air, only 29 receptions. The second best receiver statistically is Steve Breston. Only 14 receptions, 183 yards. I remember almost kicking myself earlier in the year for not picking up Steve Breston late in the draft, the fantasy draft. And it's like, oh, thank God I didn't. Because that's right, Kurt Warner's not in this offense anymore. It's Derek Anderson. It's Derek Anderson. They didn't keep... I just could not believe it. They didn't keep Matt Leinart. They didn't keep Matt Leinart. I know he hasn't really been the great quarterback in the NFL thus far, but at least you have a small chance. He was okay, I guess. You know, they didn't keep him. Now he's over there with Dan Orlovsky backing up Matt Schaub. Dan Orlovsky, former backup to the Detroit Lions, of course. But backing up Matt Schaub over there in Houston, who they're the top team in their division in the AFC South, amazingly. How about that? How about that? Arizona Cardinals. Easily one of the worst teams in football, yet they're 3-4. They're actually a game ahead of the Vikings. They're a game ahead of the Vikings. I got you, but yeah. The Arizona Cardinals are ahead of the Vikings right now. Isn't that ridiculous? Isn't that ridiculous? Yep, they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home today, 38-35. They scored points. Oh, they scored points. Oh, they gave up points. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. These Arizona Cardinals, folks, they are the team to beat in the Dome this coming week. The Vikings, yes, they're going to win. The Vikings are going to be 3-5. 3-5 after next week. How exciting that, huh? No, not all too exciting. Derek Anderson threw 2 interceptions, nothing special. Max Hall came in also in this game, completed 50% of his passes, and also threw 2 interceptions. Josh Freeman had a very efficient game against the Arizona Cardinals defense. Nothing spectacular, but efficient. The ground game looked pretty good. Garrett Blount had 120 yards on the ground and only 22 rushes, 2 touchdowns, including a 48-yard scamper. Beanie Wells, of course, the starting running back for the Arizona Cardinals. There just ain't much there. I mean, the only guy I'm scared of on Arizona is Lawrence Maroney, and is he going to get the ball? Excuse me, Lawrence Maroney. Larry Fitzgerald, and is he going to get the ball? I don't know. Though, amazingly, Steve Breston exploded. Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald had 2 touchdowns and 72 yards in this game, but Steve Breston had 8 catches for 147 yards. So, a little surprising there, though. Tampa Bay's defense not exactly where it was years ago, that's for sure. Certainly not at all. Well, it's just one of those games. It's a home game. It's an inferior team. Establish the run early. Go with what you can. But I say establish the run early, obviously. Adrian Peterson's the best player on the team, and then look for Percy Harvin on those short passes and maybe deep down the middle on a few plays as well. I mean, I think you can do a little bit of everything against the Arizona Cardinals. Well, what's funny is I made fun of the New England Patriots running game. They scored their second rushing touchdown of the year today, and against us. And at that Ellis, good old Ellis, whoever that is, right, at 122 yards, including that touchdown today. Just exasperating. I don't know. Yeah, the Vikings win the game, but it's like I don't want to get cocky about anything anymore. We have the best run defense in the world, and no, we don't. Well, the pass defense is solid. The secondary is nice, and no, it's not doing good either. So I don't know what to think. The last time we played the Arizona Cardinals, they looked like the Pittsburgh Steelers, whereas the next week, like a couple weeks later, they gave up 50 points in the postseason against the New Orleans Saints. So I don't know. I got to think the Vikings can win against the Arizona Cardinals at home, though. I got to think the Vikings' chances are very good in that scenario. Again, balanced attack, established the run early. God, I cannot believe the Buccaneers are 5-2, by the way. What the hell is going on? There is some weird stuff going on in the NFL this year. There really is. This has been a weird-ass season. Boy. Again, just establish the run early, and then try to hit Percy Harvin, and maybe someday Randy Moss will get open, and he'll catch the ball again. But today was not that day. It just was not. So that's pretty much where we're going to stand with things. Now we're going to get to contact details here. The message boards on sportstuff.com, we'd like you to join those, please. That'd be very, very awesome. There's a button in the upper right-hand corner that says TSS Boards. Simply click on that and then click Register and get your screen name and post on those boards. You can discuss with all the teams in our division and all the other divisions out there. That's how Dylan Richardson, the executive producer and creator of the sportstuff.com, was so kind to do. A very cool idea. So very, very fun way to interact on there. Of course, remember the phone line, 209-736-7877, 209-736-7877. Remember, it is a voicemail. Mention which show you're calling in for, which is Purple Mafia, and opine. Also, you got the Facebook group. Type in Purple Mafia Show, Minnesota Vikings, or Minnesota Vikings Purple Mafia Show. In the search bar, and you'll find it right away. Simply join that. And then, of course, twitter.com/Purple Mafia Show. So I want to thank you guys for listening once again. Yes, the Vikings are going to be 3-5, but the playoffs are not looking so good. That does not make me a fair weather fan. That makes me an honest and objective fan and an honest and objective host of this show. So we'll talk to you next week. Maybe there'll be something to build upon, and maybe there won't be. But the Vikings are going to beat the Cardinals. They just are. So we'll leave it there. We'll talk to you then. Take care.